And I'm just messing around in EverQuest 2, and actually, one of the more interesting things to do on a role-playing server is just to kind of watch other players roleplay. It's kind of like stumbling across a TV episode or something like that. They're not really talking about anything overly interesting story-wise, just kind of interacting as their characters. It's kind of neat, though. Using my little hindsight trick to kind of watch from a better perspective, I guess, without having to interrupt them. Kind of gives you a hands-off type of view, I guess. So, well, like watching it through a glass window, maybe, where you can see it, but you're not there to interrupt the process. Mostly just chilling, hanging out. Uh, Juan here was came storming in. He's actually from Kanos. So when he ran in past some of the guards kind of took an interest in him and started attacking him. So he came barreling through the door with like one of the undead knights chasing him on a horse and everything. It's kind of hilarious. I'm guessing he showed up because there was some sort of there's a role playing channel. Like I joined them to there's RP8 LFG and then RP events, and they kind of announce things that are going on. So like if I see something that looks interesting, I'll go hang out and see what's going on. It's kind of neat. Like last night, I came across some. They were actually doing a story-based event, and something about competition with another guild. Well, actually, I don't know if it was competition. They just mentioned another guild, and then a specific person from that guild, and then trying to hunt the person down and so on. So it must have been a a story-based conflict of some kind between the two guilds. Kayla flashes a bright smoke. No, bright grin at Juan. Most exciting thing I've seen in Freeport since they put that shield over our head. Oh, yeah. The shield is from the TOV expansion. Dragons are basically on the rampage and trying to attack both Kinos and Freeport, but so far the mages have been keeping them at bay. There's a giant domed shield over both the cities, and they're protecting the city from dragons, which are constantly attacking. I can actually go take a quick look at it now that I'm at the bind site wore out.
Once there was a
And you
time
can
when
kind of
feared
see it
God
up there.
for the true
There's some of the
masters
dragons
of
flying overhead. It's pretty neat though. It's kind of hard to see from this angle, or at least at this time of day. But you can kind of see the shimmering over there. Because normally that's not there. And I'll go back and chill over here, move my pet over. Now the bind site trick, the way that works, is you target somebody in your group or like a pet or a mercenary. Then I set it to number 1, so I just press the number 1 key on my keyboard, cast it. And then as soon as it starts to cast, you target what you want to put it on. So for instance, I'll start to cast it and I'll click somebody over here. And there it goes. This has been an invaluable tool for me when I'm making some of the other videos, because you can get perspectives on things that you just wouldn't normally be able to get. It's really neat. It makes things so much easier. What is that shimmering? Oh, it must be the weapon. That's kind of neat. Yeah, I think it is. It's almost like a mirage. Huh. Never seen that before. role playing is interesting. I've never really like I make characters with my characters where they have personalities and all that, as you can see from some of my other videos. But I've never really acted the characters. Like, I've never tried to play the part. I mean, it's interesting. I find it fascinating. It's storytelling. I love stories, and that's really what it comes down to. And obviously, with the videos I've made, I like telling stories too, at least in short 2 to 5 minute snippets. But what are they talking about? Been to New Halos? I'm familiar with dingy bars. They have a sort of appeal, a quiet, stained, splintery, sticky floor sort of appeal. But damn, most serve the best liquor. That's probably true for real life. Some of the seediest bars have the best ales, or maybe not. I'm not really a drinker, so I wouldn't know the difference. It all tastes like alcohol, just like a generic alcohol taste. Now, what do we got here? It's too cold for everyone but barbarians there. Yeah, New Halos is up to the north near Everfrost, covered in snow and ice and all sorts of chilly things, like more snow and more ice. But, cold winds, cold water, and, that sort of stuff. Mm. This seems to be female heavy at the moment, aside from Jew on there. Or at least the characters. Could be males on the other end as well. Let's see, this weapon that he has, well, this is his shield right there with the lion on it. But this arced blade thing is actually the Warden Epic. So I can tell just from that he's a Warden, and that's a Warden over there too. I can actually target these and find out. And yep, level 95 Warden. Because only Wardens can get that. And another level 95 Warden. And let's see, let's get a view on this guy here. Yeah, they're basically just an in-character moment here. Sometimes what'll happen in the RP event, somebody will say something usually in character about something happening at a guild hall or a house or a tavern like here, and it's a cue that people who like to roleplay can show up and participate in the event. And RPLFG is basically, hey, I want to roleplay. I want to find a few people who also want to roleplay, form a little group, and just be our characters, essentially. Good wandering in here, but I need to head out and get back where I belong. So I'm going to want to change my bind, I think. Might call out. But we can follow him for a bit if he does take off. No, he's definitely going to call out. Yep, summoning his Druid Circle. And he's gone. Okay, what's going on? There we go. Now what's Druid Circle lets him teleport to rings. These are NPCs back here. What is his name? Bard Loganius and Entertainin Zagat. Shake that booty. Bards. Apparently they're saying all Freeport people run around topless and are thick-headed. At least the local boys. I kind of, I was just thinking, uh, if I had my bard here, it'd be perfect. Which you can watch some of the videos with my bard, aka Garen, such as Slash Pickup Line or On Patrol or whatever they're called. It's kind of a he's overly flirty, but it's usually without intent, more to just be flirty as opposed to get anywhere with flirting. I guess it's the best way to describe Garen. Whereas Leech is more apathetic to everything, because I guess he's sort of the, like, yeah, seen that, done that, or, yeah, it's a problem, but I'll figure it out. That sort of mentality. It should be wrapped up properly like a gift. Where is the fun when someone else has half opened it? Fun conversations. Gee, what are you trying to say? Tina just likes emotes, apparently. You see, there's different types of role players. Like some of them pretty much only talk as their character, like Chatina's doing that now. But there are some that just love descriptions. Well, they just kind of describe what their character is doing, but won't really talk all that much. They'll attach to an NPC. Oh, look at that. Oh, yeah. See, when you attach to NPCs, you can kind of see quest stuff as if it's from the developer perspective. So these are items that don't normally sparkle or glow, but because you can basically see through the eyes of the character. So the NPC is aware of all these objects, which normally only show up as, if you're on the particular quest. But same thing with players, too. If a player can see this book, for example, and it's sparkling, and they see it because they're on the quest, if I bind sight to them, I can also see it. And it's kind of neat. It has, like, there's some quest where you have to run around looking for these objects, but only the person on the quest can see them. But if you're just waiting for the person to run around and click on those, if you bind sight to them while they're running around looking, you could be attached to them looking in other directions, helping them spot them. And, I mean, it's a limited use, but, it does work. But yeah, anyway, there's different types of role players. Some of them just like to speak through their character, essentially, and they don't really do much beyond chat, essentially. And then others, well, like you can see here in the blue, they love being descriptive. And then you have blends, of course, where they're kind of mixed like that. But there's some that kind of go overboard, where they'll go through, like, 5, 6 lines of text like this before they even get to the word hello to greet somebody. And, I mean, it's neat. It's a good exercise in, like, creative writing, for example. But it's like when you're just there waiting for somebody to answer a question you ask them, but they have to go through, 3, 4 lines of descriptive text before they get to the answer. It can be kind of tedious. But usually, I mean, like, if you're just asking something, rather, or if I can speak in the proper order, uh, game related, they'll just tell you out of character, and usually usually you'll see that by double parentheses most of the time. That seems to be the most common way of doing it. Sometimes they just do the start and ignore the end ones. But the double parentheses essentially means I'm speaking out of character. And that way they can respond to game-related stuff or just player-related stuff instead of, things pertaining to their character through their character's perspective. Is that Jatina? Quirks her lips into a slight smile. I done good with Sharon. Blah. Okay, yeah. Let's see. Let's go back, see what they're doing. Let's attach the Bargus so we can still see more sparklies. And move around my chair a little bit. Maria. Oh, that's that. Okay. For some reason I missed the name. Ah, water. Yum, yum, yum. Only flirt with customers at the bar, then I make sure they can't follow me out. It's probably just a reference to, like, the creeper thing where, like, oh, hey, girl, and then they obsess over you. There's these. And there's auto attack on there. Chain armor. And mostly it's uninteresting. It's pretty neat though. Antonio Bales are very... Well, I used to be on a role-playing server before. But that server had merged with another and so on. And because I had a stepbrother who had a character on here, I was like, oh, I'll start playing on it. And I was amazed at the difference of population. This server is filled with people compared to Crushbone. I mean, you have a fair amount of people on Crushbone, but they're all generally higher level and in instances. And here, actually, if you're on another server, you like Crushbone, or that seems mostly dead, I can actually illustrate it. I know when I go to Crushbone, the main area of the city, maybe 3-4 people running around at any given time at most. Antonia Bale is usually a lot more. It's usually, 10 to 15 people wandering around in the main area, like between here and just across the wall. Like there's a couple there, and watch there hardly be one. A couple more. And let's check over here. Nope. He's just been... I don't know what this guy's deal is. For the last couple days at least, he's just been standing in different parts of the city. Yeah, there's a bunch more people here. And then usually if you wander around the town, you'll find at least role players all over the place. Well, not all over. I mean, usually you'll find a couple here, a couple there, but I'm being used to a low population server. It seems like night and day. And usually there's a few people up here talking. Looks like there's just one guy checking out his house, I'm guessing. It's pretty neat. It's nice to see life in a city again. Like, these are all NPCs, so they don't count. And the other cities, of course, are fairly well populated. Wow. I do have a mount, but I think I run the same speed anyway. 75%, yes. So I won't go any faster because I cannot fly in the city. Why is this guy panicked? No idea. There's another person. Oh, is that it? Yeah, see, like I would describe this as like a low point. It's usually, I'd say at least double the amount of people that we ran across in here. At least, well, this is a Sunday night where people have to work tomorrow morning, so that's not really that surprising. This was one of the nights I was attacking Juan, whatever his name was. Because Keynosians don't, they're not very welcome here in this city. And vice versa. Like if I go to Kenos, the guards don't like me either. It's just, I don't think they have they don't really have any dangerous ones. Anyway, most of them are like this with a low level and gray. I mean, if they do, then they don't really, there's not many of them because I don't run into them a whole lot because I go to Kenos all the time for random things. Okay, where is he? A brigand. It's neat looking armor. What is that? Dark Pathfinder's tunic, level 8 scout, so it must be quest related. I'm guessing he started in Darklight Woods. That would be my first. Huh, that's kind of neat. It's Brig. Wonder if no Wraith was looking for black armor. That looks kind of neat. Wonder if he can go back and do those quests if he hasn't already and pick up the armor. I have to check that out. I mean, this is a mage character, so I get a different reward, but I can at least see if the armor is similar, because it should have a somewhat similar name. And let's see what these people are up to. Oh, someone else showed up. Revolved. House Shawdal. I can read. House Shawdal. Shawdal. Well, after I've gotten Kukiku set upon the path, I have just been wandering about, talking to associates and trading cloth. Miria takes her glass from the barkeep. It is a bit dingy, but the wine is not horrible. Jatina nods to Sayla, or Kayla, probably. Except this one will bear on to up and up. She smiles, whilst taking another sip. Kayla rolls her eyes expressively at Jatina. Well, that takes all the fun out of it. Where is the risk? Mireya grins. Now what fun is trade on the up and up? Kayla flashes a bright grin at Mireya. See, she understands. I'll have to keep an eye out for story-based ones, because those get... Oops. Hopefully that didn't sound too loud, because I was near the microphone. These story-based ones get pretty interesting sometimes. There's a lot of putzing around, basically, where sometimes they'll be too busy interacting as their characters that they won't really get to the story point. But usually, that doesn't happen every time. And usually it's they do the story quick enough for it to be entertaining. Kayla gives Revolve a slow, considering look. Let me guess, you trade entirely on the up and up too. Mireya says I learned a bit while I was moving often. They're all referring to their, black market dealings, I'm guessing. Or at least implying that they deal in the black market style trade. Positions. And if she meant to say possessions, or she is meaning positions. Coin isn't black, nor do black markets exist. They are only markets, and we trade with everyone. That's actually a very Freeport thing, too. Freeport's kind of, well, free, I guess, in a sense. It has a kind of a menacing overlord of a sort, but people kind of do what they want, essentially. I mean, there is law and order, but it's not like Kanos where it's all, it's almost like capitalism gone bad, you can say, in Freeport, whereas Kanos is more like the heavily restricted, everyone's a nice guy type of thing. It's not really government imposed, it's just everyone there is generally happier, so I guess they have no reason to deal with the underside of the world, except, of course, some of them do. So, as all evil things are somewhat good, and all good things are somewhat evil. It's kind of a meshing of everything. Everything's a shade of gray, essentially. Although they never actually seem black, more like rainbow. Yeah, it's another thing that happens a lot on the internet in general with text conversation. But this kind of goes back to the getting into the characters too much, where they'll go back and forth about some like an inane topic almost. It's not. I mean, they're actually here just to have a conversation. They're not progressing a story. So what I'm saying is out of context of what they're actually doing. But it happens in the story-based stuff too, which is where it actually kind of draws things down a bit as opposed to propping them up. But this is basically a role-playing mixer. That's the best way to describe it. Pretty neat. I mean, the video is probably not that interesting, but I got the chit-chat. It's a blog, okay? I mean, so I can say whatever I feel like saying, essentially. Interesting. I'll have to up the graphics a little here. Let's see. Display. I don't even know what it's at. There we go. Now some of the models are still dropping. That's alright. Tell us about the product. So somebody actually trying to sell something. Let's find out. If it doesn't take another 20 minutes of descriptive text, that is. And this is not a criticism of them. What happens sometimes is you talk yourself into a point where somebody needs information about something you didn't think through because you were just kind of playing your character. And so it's easy to trap yourself into a situation where, like, oh crap, I didn't think this through. Now I need to come up with something. I don't know if that's the case here, but it's very fluid. You have to be, let's see, you have to be quick to adapt to be good at role-playing, and usually they are. Then, or they'll move on to another topic if it's obvious that the one brought up is going to drag it down. It's kind of a cooperation in that sense. Yeah, it's pretty neat. I just wanted to... So it's 3 guilds represented, it looks like. 2 guilds. That's right, because he's part of the same guild as they are. And then Storm Riders. So House Shadal and the Storm Riders. I think yesterday it was... I can't remember, the Spectre or something. Let me see. Nobody is on from that guild, so Or maybe they spelled it the other way. I don't think so, though. No. That's okay. There's Spectre something. I don't even remember. But that one was neat. Just because it was more story-oriented. And the bards are still shaking their booty. Salos. He's off to get some food. He must be catching up on AA, because he's been 90 for a while, and in Sky Shrine. You cannot progress past 90 unless you have 280 AA. But Sky Shrine's probably the best place to get AA. Some of the fastest XP in the game. But it's pretty neat. Just wanted an excuse to BS a little bit, chit-chat a little bit, have a monologue, I guess. I would say a conversation, but it's a conversation with nobody in particular. At least not at the point of recording. And there's like emo haircut right there. I think that's what she has too. It is possible. Actually, sometimes you can find out by inspecting them. Sometimes they set the character up. Soga model. No, so the Soga model is the model she has now. So that's the one she prefers. And let's see. Bio, eyebrow, no, okay. Says nothing about it. But there are different models. Anyone not familiar with it, I can actually show you real quick. Oh. Okay. The Soga models, or what are now the main models, are they were originally designed as sort of like to mimic like the Japanese, Chinese, Korean style MMO artwork. And if I turn off all the models, then I'll get the original models that were created back when the game first came out, which are these, which they're still pretty good, almost a bit more natural looking, at least with the faces and hairstyles. They're kind of neat. Like, I'm so used to the other models now that that's kind of the way I see everything. But the face is actually a little more naturally rounded and it's a little more realistic, essentially. But it's a world where not everything is realistic, you know, like Ogre in the background there. And so it's just a, there we go. So I'm just used to seeing the characters like this. And some of them I kind of prefer with this modeling. Not just the humanoid characters, but some of the, like dwarves and gnomes and stuff have the Soga model variants, and sometimes they look better than the regular ones. Well, dwarves are kind of dwarves regardless. But basically the Soga models or alternate models are anime-like. That was their goal. Yeah, it's pretty neat. They're just aren't all men. Pretty enough. Wears his shirt. Wonder if he's any good at lying. Oh, they must be talking about the guy who just left. Aren't all men good at lying? Oh, I get it. Yeah. We're actually horrible at lying. We take the time to practice. But I guess I meant for that to sound comedic, but that just sounds suspiciously insightful, even though it's not. Sometimes they mean it. That's probably more accurate than not. and they tell you nice things. They tell you they want you forever. They actually mean it, and then later they change their mind. Easier if they just lie from the start. Well, see, that might be more accurate in cases. This is getting into all sorts of fun stuff. It's kind of like related to the idea of the grass is greener on the other side, but it's not so much that once you have it, you don't want it anymore. It's more of aspiration for new experiences, I guess. And some people, men and women alike, just haven't found a way to manage that when it comes to relationships. Like, it's instead of trying to have new experiences with somebody you're with, people try to find a new person to substitute for new experiences. I mean, there's a little more to it than that, depending on the situation, but that's kind of the base of it. So yeah, I'll leave these ladies to continue their role-playing, and I'll try to keep fraps up in case I come across anything else that's interesting. So thank you for the entertainment. Some of the other names I already forgot, but Stormcaller Jatina Winlin, the Raging Current, Maria Valier, the Apothecary, and I'll have to switch my target to see what that name is. That is... let's try that one more time. Let's try that one more time. Okay, ready? And go. And the last, and not the least, of course, is... I already lost it. Kayla the Shadowblade. It was entertaining, and I hope you continue to have fun. And for now, I guess I will say bye with a random emote. Let's see if I can do this without having to look up the emotes. Let's see. We'll do that.
I'm hungry.
And I'm off.